The night he finally broke down, it wasn't at home or at his daughter's bedside, but under the cold white lights of an empty office floor, where the hum of computers felt louder than his own heartbeat and the city blinked through the windows like it didn't know he was drowning. Ethan Miller had mastered the art of surviving quietly. He arrived early, left late, spoke politely, smiled when required, and kept his life neatly folded away like an old letter he was afraid to reopen. To most people at the company, he was dependable, calm, a single dad who somehow managed everything without complaint. But what no one saw was the weight he carried every single day, the kind that bent his spine even when he stood straight. His boss, Claire Anderson, had noticed things others ignored, the way Ethan flinched when coworkers joked about dating apps, the way he avoided office parties, the way his eyes softened and darkened at the same time whenever his phone buzzed with a reminder to pick up his daughter. One ordinary evening, during a late work session that stretched into silence, she casually asked him why he never dated, not knowing that her simple curiosity would crack open a wound he'd spent years carefully sealing shut. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet battles people fight every day, take a moment right now to like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this remind us we're never really alone. Ethan's life hadn't always been this narrow and heavy. There was a time when laughter came easily, when his home smelled like fresh coffee and warm bread, when love felt like a shared future instead of a fragile memory. He had married young, deeply, the kind of love that made him believe life would always make sense as long as they faced it together. Then illness arrived quietly, pretending to be temporary, stealing months, then strength, then breath, until one winter morning it stole his wife, leaving behind a house full of silence and a 2-year-old girl named Lily who still reached for a mother who would never come back. Grief didn't explode in Ethan's life, it settled in, like dust that never fully cleared. He learned how to cook, braid hair, read bedtime stories through tears he refused to let fall. He learned how to be everything, even when he felt like nothing. Dating, love, even the idea of being seen that way again felt impossible, not because he didn't miss connection, but because every memory of happiness came with a shadow that reminded him how easily it could be taken away. Years passed, and survival became routine. Ethan built his days around Lily's school schedule, her favorite meals, her quiet fears at night when storms reminded her of hospital beeps she was too young to remember clearly. He worked harder than anyone, not out of ambition, but out of fear, fear of losing stability, fear of failing the one person who depended entirely on him. Claire saw his dedication and respected it, but she also saw the loneliness he never spoke about. She saw the way his desk was decorated with childish drawings instead of family photos, the way he never talked about weekends unless it involved science projects or grocery shopping. When she asked him that question, something in her tone gentle but curious, Ethan didn't answer right away. The truth pressed against his chest, demanding air, and for the first time in years, he didn't push it back down. What Ethan finally shared wasn't dramatic or loud, but it was devastating in its honesty. He explained, carefully, how loving once had cost him everything, how his heart still lived in a past that felt too sacred to replace and too painful to revisit. He admitted that every time someone showed interest, all he could think about was Lily, about how introducing someone new felt like inviting uncertainty into a life he'd fought so hard to keep steady. He spoke about guilt, the guilt of imagining happiness without the woman he lost, the guilt of even considering a future that looked different from the one they planned together. Claire listened, not as a boss, but as a human being, and what she felt wasn't pity, it was heartbreak, because she realized Ethan wasn't avoiding love, he was protecting the last piece of it he had left. From that moment on, something shifted, not in grand gestures, but in quiet understanding. Claire began giving Ethan flexibility without explanation, understanding without questions. She encouraged him in subtle ways, reminding him that strength didn't mean isolation. At home, Lily grew older, more curious, more aware, and one night she asked her father why he never smiled the way other dads did in the park. That question, innocent and unfiltered, hit harder than anything Claire had said. Ethan realized that in trying to protect his daughter from pain, he might also be teaching her to fear love. Change didn't come quickly. It came in small moments, in allowing himself to attend a school event without rushing home, in accepting help, in letting memories exist without controlling his present. He didn't suddenly start dating or fall into a new romance, but he began to open windows in a house he'd kept locked for too long, letting light touch corners he thought would always remain dark. The story doesn't end with a perfect romance or a dramatic transformation. It ends with something quieter and more powerful. Ethan learning that love doesn't erase loss, it honors it. That his heart was big enough to carry both the past and the possibility of a future. That Lily didn't need a father who was untouched by pain, she needed one who showed her how to live fully despite it. And Claire, watching from a distance, understood that sometimes the bravest people aren't the ones who rush into love, but the ones who survive it and still choose to believe in it. If this story stirred something inside you, if it reminded you of someone you love or a part of yourself you've been protecting for too long, please take a moment to comment and share your thoughts below. Your words matter more than you know. And if this story touched your heart, made you pause, or brought tears to your eyes, like the video, share it, and stay with this channel, because stories like Ethan's deserve to be felt, remembered, and passed on.